Overtime Boxing, better known as OTX, ended its 4-event run on the Zone recently with Truck Simpson and Vladimir Hernandez. Hernandez taking that victory. But aside from that, I just want to talk about Overtime Boxing in general. I did a video about this. I'll leave a link in the description and you'll be able to see it here. But the bottom line is it was a resounding success. I always thought they could be a huge player because of the visibility that they will be able to give to fighters. And I think it's going to be proven right, especially as they keep going, as they keep growing, and as they keep collaborating with other promoters and potentially other networks, etc. Every event that they had on was entertaining. Like, it wasn't just the main event either. It was the card. So it was prospects that were on these cards, people that are looking to further their career, make a name of themselves, and everybody showed out. And the format in which they do it is what I like as well. If you get a knockout in the first round, you get a bonus. If you get a knockout in the last round, you get a bonus. So there's incentives there for fighters to don't just come out and play it safe, because you can actually get extra money if you produce some fireworks. Another thing that I like about OTX is the fact that there are no ties. There are no draws, y'all. There's no draws in OTX. So if it's an 8-round fight and at the end of the 8th round, everything's all knotted up, they do an extra round to decide a winner. And I really like that. I like the fact that we get a definitive winner no matter what at the end of this. There's no draws. So you will have a winner and a loser. So there's a lot to like. I like the atmosphere that they had. Carmelo Anthony was even in the last one. So if you're bringing in the right people, if you're making exciting fights and they already have a brand behind them, so they're just branching out with OTX Boxing, and it was successful. The good news is they're not done. OTX is not done. They plan on coming back again. Didn't say when. Didn't say if it was going to be on DAZN or not, because I know this was just almost a trial that they had with DAZN, but DAZN is one of their partners right now. But they will be doing more. In a Boxing Scene article by Keith Eidick, Brandon Rhodes said, "We plan to have continuity with some of the fighters we've already showcased throughout our first 3 shows and our next card as well. We may keep them busy on some other co-promotions as well, outside of our own schedule. So we're definitely planning to do more, to go much bigger and better." Now, he says much bigger and better. Their premise is to showcase underexposed prospects in competitive fights. So if you have underexposed prospects in competitive fights and you're talking about going bigger and better, are you talking about going bigger in promotion? Are you talking about going bigger as far as cross networks, Showtime, DAZN, ESPN, multiple shows on multiple networks? I'm very curious on what he means by bigger and better. Is he talking about venues? Will they be changing the venue? Because right now they use their OTE arena where they have their basketball events. So there's still going to be some questions surrounding that. But he goes on to say, and we're having some really exciting conversations with some big names inside and outside of boxing that may want to partner with us in strategic ways. Some conversations with the bigger promoters about collaborating on certain things. So we have a lot of exciting opportunities in front of us outside of just the events we're going to do on our own. And we'll continue to have those conversations. They also plan to be adding contenders on there as well. So it's not just going to be prospects. It will be contenders. And he also says our message is the same, that overtime is additive to the sport. We're not trying to outcompete Top Rank. We're not trying to outcompete Matchroom. We'll work with fighters that make sense for us. Some of them will sign. Some of them will showcase, but we're additive to the sport as well across just boxing in general. And I do think it's important that they stress that they're additive. They're additive. So they're not trying to compete or outcompete Top Rank and Matchroom. They're a different entity. They're trying to add to boxing. They're almost like an ancillary entity that is trying to pump life, to pump blood, pump oxygen into boxing, and to connect to what I think most times boxing misses, which is a younger generation. And OTX is tapping into that, man. I think this is just getting started. I always thought it was a big move, and it could be exactly what boxing needs. Rhodes did talk about the rules and how he thinks they're going to be going forward. He said the ideas we had around the rules have been very successful. We created the KO bonus, and that's definitely provided some action-packed fights from start to finish. Obviously, the smaller 18-foot ring has provided more action, and the OT round we had, our first one last week, went just as well, if not better than anyone could have imagined. He said, I think knockout bonuses definitely impacted the styles. It's made the fights more fan-friendly, and I think it has made it more fun for the fighters, frankly. They're all excited to try to get the finish, often in cases they may have not, but I think fighters are smart too. At the end of the day, they're not going to take risks that aren't warranted. I do think that ring played a huge role and how some of these fights played out. And I want to look no further than their last main event, Truck Simpson against Vladimir Hernandez. In that first round, Truck Simpson was moving around. He was evading him, but he was also, I think he knew in his head he wasn't going to be able to move as well as maybe he normally would or thought he could. And he started to stand there. But the problem with just standing there, he was just standing there and trying to push Hernandez back without throwing. And that Hernandez is a volume puncher. And he just kept throwing and continued throwing. And he caught and hurt Simpson a couple times. Simpson was trying to catch him with one big shot. And that 18-foot ring, I think it benefits volume punchers that have a great engine. If you're a volume puncher, great chin, great engine, you're probably going to do pretty well in these 18-foot rings. But it 100% makes for exciting fights. I'm all for overtime boxing and what they're doing, what they're bringing to the sport. And I can't wait to see what they come up with next, man. I mean, they have their format. They have the overtime round. They have all that stuff right now, the smaller ring. We'll see who will want to compete in those rings. You know, some boxers are particular about, no, I want a 20, I want a 22 or whatever, you know. So we'll have to see how does that affect the fighters that they get. But overall, I believe most fighters feel they can compete in any ring. If Bam Rodriguez said, I want an 18-foot ring, he'd probably say, that's fine. And Sonny Edwards probably he can navigate that just as well. Depends. I believe it's going to depend on the fighter's mindset, their management teams more than anything, more than the fighters themselves. But I'm looking forward to what's next. So what do you guys think about OTX? Did you catch any of the shows? Did you catch all the shows? Did you have a favorite? How do you think it's going to go going forward? Would you prefer it on another platform? I tell you what, that Vibe Cam was trash, y'all. That Vibe Cam has to go. So there's some adjustments production-wise on the DAZN side. But I will say I did really like the team of Corey Erdman and Chris Algieri. I thought they called the fights very well. So it's a lot of positive to take away from OTX. But that's all I got for this one. Love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for tuning in, checking this out. Appreciate you stopping by. Hopefully you stop by again. Drop a like, subscribe, and I'll catch y'all on the next one as we talk boxing as always. Peace.